God called me into ministry by this word. Introducing Neeta Manohar. She has an amazing journey from being a national level tennis player to currently a writer, and she has an amazing encounter with God which she's going to share with us all. Hi beloved ones of God, I am here today with an amazing woman of God, Neeta Manohar. Neeta, thank you so much for accepting this invite and coming on our show Encounter with God.
Thank you so much, Mahima. It's truly a pleasure for me to be here, and thank you so much for the opportunity as well. I just hope and pray that this conversation will be a blessing to the people watching the show. So thank you so much.
I personally was so blessed, so thank you once again.
Oh, pleasure.
So, Neeta, you come from a family that talks about Jesus, that has Jesus involved in their lives. And so growing up, when did you come to a place, where you had a personal encounter with God? When did Jesus become real to you? Can you share with us all?
Well, that's a very nice question to start off with, because to me, Jesus was always real to me. It was, that was the beginning of what I knew of who Jesus is.
So just coming into an awareness as a child, even as a 5-year, 4-year, 6-year-old, you mean to say that, you kind of came to a place where, Jesus was like constant conversation?
Yeah. So in my house, I think we would always talk about, we would always pray together as a family, or we would always talk about, the importance of prayer or faith for that matter. And to answer the question about, I wouldn't probably say encounter with God, but it was more to be like when I knew His presence was very real in my life.
Wow.
And it came about at a very young age when I think when I started to learn how to read, the first book that I read was the Bible.
Wow.
And that was a gift from my mother.
Wow.
And because at that point of time, my sister was pursuing professional tennis. So either my father or my mother would sometimes travel. Of course, because of my father's work, mostly it would be my mother accompanying her. And so when I started to read the Bible, I couldn't understand a lot of it. Of course, we would learn a lot in Sunday school or at home. But when I would start reading it, I think I could understand the very basic things that you could understand.
Or read from the scriptures. Jesus loves you.
Yes, like
love your
neighbor as you love yourself. And those were, the basic understanding of what the Word of God is. And for me, that was real, I think, because I think when I was playing my first tournament, when I was probably at the age of 6 or 7, I remember the first half of my match, I was not doing so well. And then my mom just, you have access to your parents or your coach coming and talking to you in between your tournament. And my mom came and she just told me that, don't worry, just pray. And that was the first time when, in between my match, I just prayed. And I think from losing that match, I won the match. And that's when I knew that God listens to what we ask or what we pray for. And that's when I think I knew the power of prayer. Of course, I would see, my mom's prayers come through, my sister and all. But then when you personally experience it, that's a completely different thing altogether.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So during that time when you saw that your prayer was being answered, you felt like Jesus was physically listening. you could feel?
His presence always was with me. I could never feel that I was ever alone, even when we would travel or I remember one of my friends, like a friend sometimes says that, it's so nice that, you get to travel sometimes at a very young age. But there was this other friend of mine too who asked me, do you ever feel bad that, your mom is sometimes not at home, because she was very close to her mom. And
as kids, you always feel comforted and secured when you're around your mom or parents.
And I loved spending time with my mom, and there were times when she would have to travel. And so she asked me, do you ever feel bad or, or lonely? And the instinctive answer that I had was, I never do.
Like you didn't even have to take a breath. Just like that came out.
Yeah, and I think
because you felt like
that was the truth.
I felt like Jesus was always
His
there.
presence was always comforting me. I could never feel like I was all by myself. I knew that there was, somebody with me all the time. And that presence was very powerful in my life. And that was the beginning of knowing and feeling the presence of God in my life.
Wow, so beautiful, so beautiful. Also, there was this incident when you were a child, Anita. I think you were trying to get into a professional at that point of time, and you saw that the whole stadium was filled, and you felt like people more than coming to see you, they wanted to come to see Geeta's sister playing, because your sister by then had created a name for herself, and she was playing. At this point, she was playing at an international level, right?
Yes.
And she was also trained with Serena.
She was trained with Venus and Serena in Nickbolletry in Florida.
Wow. So she already was doing well, and people actually came to see how Geeta's sister is doing.
Yes.
So just share about how was it, and
because I grew up a lot being around tennis, and I always loved the game. And I still do. I think I really, really love tennis, and it's very close to my heart. The joy that I would feel when I would play tennis was, again, something different. And at one point of time, I really wanted to pursue tennis professionally. And I think by God's grace, I was fairly good at it as well, because a lot of coaches would tell my parents that
she's natural at it.
I'm quite good at it. I'm quite a natural. And so there was this time when after my intermediate, between my intermediate and my engineering was when you have this gap. And so my parents encouraged me to go for it, to go professional. And I think it was my second tournament, which was in Hyderabad, the home city. And this was a women's tournament. And I was playing professionally, I think, after a very long time. And my match was the last match. And the entire stadium, this was at LV Stadium, the entire stadium was filled. And so people came and they were talking to me about, we're waiting to see you play. And so my parents, before my match, they told me that everybody's waiting to see you play. And, it was more of, we are waiting to see Geeta's sister play. It was not the fact that they're waiting to see Neeta play. And that was a big name to live up to, because my sister worked very hard, to create her name. She was, I think, India number 5 at that point of time. And
under what level? Like they have different names for the tennis, right? So what are the...
So her WTA ranking. So you have WTA, yeah. So she was, she had her international ranking as well. So definitely, that's a lot of years of hard work and playing a lot of tournaments, and she had that. But it's a lot to live up to. And then my sister comes up to me and she tells me that, it's okay. You just play your best, enjoy, and just give your best.
Yourself. Yeah.
And that was very sweet, but
you're getting bottled up.
It was a lot of pressure, of course, it was. and I didn't want to disappoint, my parents, my coach, because normally I am that person. I don't feel like I should be disappointing anybody. And I think that was the first match that I played, not because I loved the game, but because I had to win. And turns out I didn't do so well. I did lose that match. And I didn't like the fact that I had to play it to meet,
keep it up to
someone's expectations.
Okay.
I wanted to play because I love the game and not to, fit into someone else's shoes. I wanted to make a mark of my own. So that was a turning point as well in my life. That's when I was given a choice whether, to pursue tennis.
Yeah, there came a point in your life where you had to choose whether you want to take this up professionally.
Yes, although I felt like I would still love to pursue that, but I think I did make a choice to not pursue tennis and to pursue my studies, and that's when I did my aeronautical engineering.
Awesome.
It was a very difficult choice. Sometimes I think, could I have made a better choice? But I think today I'm just so happy that I'm not a tennis player.
You're not regretting the choice that you made.
Absolutely.
Wow, beautiful. And also, Neeta, I remember, during your time in engineering, you started to write a book, Reflections of a Changed Heart.
Changed life.
Changed life.
Correct.
So tell us about it, what inspired you, what made you to write. You're in an engineering college and you're penning down, you're writing. It's a completely different world.
Very true.
Writer's world and engineering world.
True.
So what inspired you to do that and how did you come up with that?
I always knew that 10 years down the lane in my life, I would write a book because I love to read. And I knew the impact that words had on my life.
Beautiful.
It always helped me get a new perspective.
So true.
And I think we live in a world where different people have different perspectives.
So true.
And learning about how everybody sees one thing so differently, that idea was something that was very interesting to me.
Beautiful.
And I think it was a time then when a lot of people who were close to me were going through trials, they were going through pain, they were going through suffering, and I just felt that I couldn't personally be there, but if a book or if something that they could have access to was there. And the idea of, how we read in the word that, God's word will comfort you, or, during, even if you walk through the valley of death, I am with you. And
so true.
Why is it that they don't feel that, and, so I just wanted to, understand that idea of why is it that during pain or suffering, the word of God is not enough, or they don't feel comforted enough to know that,
Jesus is with them.
The trial will just last for the night and there is joy in the morning. Why aren't we looking forward to that joy? And so then I just started gathering more information, reading, and then as I did that, I kept writing, a process. When they're first hit with a certain trial, we tend to question as to why is God doing this, or why did it happen to me? And so as I was exploring that, I kept writing my notes, and eventually that, when I looked at it in retrospect, it could have been a good book, or I thought maybe I'll keep writing this and someday it would be published. And I think after writing that entire process,
I also love the fact when we were discussing the other day when we met, you said that a lot of your experience from the tennis, because it's quite a testing and trial and training goes into becoming a player, like athlete, like really becoming a professional. So that also was inputted, right?
Yes, so I think the reason my father put us both in tennis is because it teaches you endurance, it teaches you to work hard, it teaches you to not give up.
Persistence.
And yes, persistence and perseverance, correct. And I think that
Not to lose hope, like losing is not everything.
exactly. So if you lose a match, you know, you haven't lost the battle yet. You know, so those things were our basic cornerstones, I think, for both me and my sister. And that's why I think our perspectives to trial was always that it always made you better. It always made you stronger.
I love the fact you were talking that, you know, when you exercise, when you like play a lot, your muscle pains, you know that the part of the muscle that's paining is actually growing.
Correct.
So the pain is actually making you grow.
Yeah, so we would, when we know that we have to play a big tournament, every day we would train. And, you know, we would come back home at the end of the day, you know, having a lot of sores and body pains. But it was good pain because then we knew that that muscle is being strengthened, or, you know, we are being prepared for something greater. So that we could endure through that pain because we knew what, you know, it was leading
coming.
us to.
What's coming, the glory that's coming after.
Exactly. So for us, I think when we would feel pain, we would always feel good about it because then we knew that we are getting fit and we are being prepared. So that concept I was trying to apply
Applying
into,
the book.
And that's why when we go through pain or trials or sufferings, it's just preparing you for something far greater than
glory
we could ever imagine.
So true.
And it's just that we just don't see that picture.
It when you're inside it, when you're in the pain, you just don't see that.
Yes. So the book talks about that process, that practical process that you can go through in order to get you to see that big picture. And, you know, the reflections of a changed life will just help you reflect that changed life that you can see after you.
At the end of the day, when you come out of it.
Yeah.
So beautiful, so beautiful. And I also love the fact that when people came to know and OEM people published your book, right? You were actually thinking that they will come back, they'll critique it, they'll come back with the feedback, and then, you know, you will improvise it and, you know, later kind of, but you had like a blockbuster release.
Yeah, that was very funny because no one would think that a 22-year-old girl could write about, you know,
something
trials.
Wow. Yeah. So true.
And this was my first attempt of a book. And normally I was very realistic about it because you wouldn't want your first attempt to would get published. No one would ever have thought that. So I think when they wanted to have a look at the book, I did expect it to probably come back saying, you know, you need to work on this. And I was anticipating that. Never did I anticipate the fact that, you know, 4 out of 5 people on the panel thought that the book was worth publishing.
Beautiful.
When I myself felt that probably it needs a lot of work.
Improvement.
But that's when I could see that it's just, you know, your faithfulness towards doing something that God has laid on your heart. You just do that and God will just take care of the rest. That was, again, a different...
I love the fact that even while you're writing this book, you were so particular about excelling, trying to get info, like putting your own story, but at the same time trying to get info. Like you're so meticulous and you were intentional about excelling, even though it was a hobby because you were in engineering and you did this. So I love that.
I think that's, again, something that, you know, my parents had always taught us that
excellent.
If we do something, you do it good. And if I was trying to write something, then do I write it out of just the knowledge that I have? Or do I write it based on what everybody thinks of it? So
going that extra mile.
Exactly. So yes, I think it was something that I just felt that if I do it, I just need to do it well.
In a good way, excellent way.
Yeah.
It's also nominated, no?
Yeah, for a good read for Christian Living.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Who nominated that book?
So this was by Christian Living.
Ah, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful, awesome, awesome. So you finish your engineering, you finish your book, and then you get a job in engineering area after the thing. You
Yeah.
excel, like you really come out good with grades even as you complete the engineering. But you go there, like you go to this job that that the engineering, your department kind
Yeah.
of a job,
Yeah.
like the engines, like aeronautical style, and you kind of felt that that was not
Yeah.
where you felt it was making sense to you, meaningful. You didn't feel purposeful, basically being there.
After the book was released, again, that was a completely different joy that I was probably not prepared for. But it's definitely one of those, milestone moments that I could
Yes.
always look back to.
Yes.
After that, I didn't know what was next, or I felt that is this it? Because it's something that I've always thought that I would achieve, but by God's grace and by His favor, it happened much sooner than I expected. So I think I was more, I was looking for what is next. Where is it that I need to be? And what is it that I can do to make a difference? And that, so I was working after my engineering, and it was a good phase where I was working in an MNC, and but then again I was always searching and seeking for what is it that I'm supposed to do now, because that feeling of being fulfilled and doing something that really mattered, or if you could make a difference, that is a very good feeling, and I was always in search of that. So after my time of work, I did take a small break, and then I think that's when advertising happened. A friend of mine just told me that, why don't you
Try advertising.
Yeah, and I think till you figure, what you need
What
to
you want
do,
to do.
go for it. And so then I said, yeah, no harm in, trying it out.
Anyways, you're taking time off.
Yes.
And trying to
yes.
figure out. So
Yeah, and it had
it's okay
something
to
to
explore.
do with writing.
Oh.
So, of course, during that time, I would still keep writing. So, writing was a part of my everyday process.
So that was something
Yeah.
close to you.
Very close. I just had to grow from, after writing the book, how am I supposed to grow? So writing was, again, an everyday process for me. How am I supposed to get better at it? And then when advertising came along, again, it was a different challenge of writing. And I was really looking forward to that. And we would, so I started off with writing copy, and then my boss, he is a writer and a director, and he directed like a lot of ad films, won a lot of awards. So he was the one who started teaching me to write scripts.
How to be a script writer.
Right. So so then I started writing scripts, and then he felt that if you write scripts, it's always good to direct as well. And again, as I was, writing copy is good. But then getting out there and directing was something that...
Putting a director's hat was not easy.
Was something that I would never expect me to do, because normally the notion that we have about advertising is that you need to have a certain persona, you need to have a certain way with people, which could be very authoritative, which could be a little,
Either from the background.
Yeah, I think a little not so gentle. So basically the
Aggressive
criteria,
type.
yeah, basically the criteria that you need, I had none of that. And it was again a big test for me, because I didn't want to change who I was and who I am as a person. And could I still do a good job? still being who I am in
A director's hat.
Yeah, in a place where
This kind of personality is required.
correct.
Without compromising your core nature.
Exactly. So I don't want to change who I am, because I'm always happy the way God has, created me to be, and I felt that I could still be who I am, and I could still do a good job at that, and that's when I started praying a lot more, and I just felt that I could do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Awesome.
So in this case, my strength was not to be authoritative, but my strength was, can I be convincing enough for people to listen to me or to agree with me?
Beautiful.
And I think that was, beautiful.
Beautiful wisdom that you
Yeah.
got from the prayer.
Exactly.
And also, if you don't mind, you can tell some of your brands that you have done, the film advertising, some of the celebrities that you work with.
I think again, I think God has placed me in a place where I had access to people who had a lot of influence on the world, and it was very important for me to be the person that God has created me to be, because if that was one opportunity, or if He has placed me there, there should have been a reason. So I think a few people that I had the opportunity to work with were Sanya,
Mirza.
Yeah, Sanya Mirza, Kapil Dev, Madhavan. So a few of them, and
The Katrina Kaif also. Okay, awesome.
a few of them, and it was definitely a wonderful opportunity to have access to them, and
At the same time, you're very aware of who you are as a child of God.
Yes.
That you leave a little bit of Jesus while being a director, while being a scriptwriter. So,
Yes.
sometimes I love what you said last time when we were meeting. You said, sometimes the only Jesus that, people don't get, everyone don't have access to Bible, but
Yeah.
you are the only living Bible that they get to
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
You're the only physical Jesus
Yeah.
that they get to see.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
I just feel that what we are and who we are to people, it really matters, because if we are the one opportunity that they get to see God's love, or they get to see the light of God, and if God's put that light in us, we owe it to God, we owe it to ourselves to be that person.
Awesome, awesome. I wish, Neeta, we had so much more time. But Neeta is also writing another book. It is Just I Am. Is it Just I Am?
I am just.
I Am Just. So the concept of the book is we limit God by saying just.
Yeah, so the idea of the book is to find your purpose in every season of your life. And we talk about, it's called I Am Just, and it talks about not limiting who you are. And it's not about what you do, but the important part is who you are and who you are becoming while you do what you do. So the book is more about seeking your purpose and
Not
living
limiting
that.
God.
Correct. Not limiting yourself, not limiting God. So.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Neeta.
Thank you.
I wish we had more time to go on. You have such an amazing story. So
thank
that
you.
particular book is not published, but it's soon going to
Yeah,
be. So
yeah.
it's in the process.
Correct,
Thank you
correct.
so much.
Thank you so much.
So at this point of time, I just want to address the audience who are there. Yes, sometimes we are the only Jesus that people say. We're the only Bible that anybody can read. At the same time, I love what Neeta said, that, don't limit yourself, don't limit the God who is within you.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, the only one thing that I would just like to say is that what we plan is completely, sometimes we may not go according to that plan, but God's purpose is far greater than that. And I think my life is a testimony of that it hadn't gone according to a plan, but by purpose. And I think and I'm so happy that my life didn't go as planned, and it just went as God's purpose.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching us, and thank you for being here. I'm sure you're blessed. And remember, No matter what you're planning, God's purposes are greater. So don't be disappointed that you're not yet there. Trust in God. He's going to lead you into greater purpose. God bless you. Stay tuned.